Hello everyone, I am Sumit. I welcome you all to another brand new video of Sumit Talks. In today's video, I will tell you how to be sociable. Everybody wants that he or she will be sociable, and it is the need of the hour, whether you are into the business or whether you are into the job. It is very much required. So in today's video, I will tell you what are the 7 ways how to be sociable. So without wasting much of time, let's get started. So the first thing that you have to understand is whatever your past experience is, whatever the past interaction you had with the person that you interacted with, whether whether it's a boring one or whether it's something very bad, whether it is something very much terrified. So always it is advisable that you have to start fresh, because everybody is having a social baggage. Everybody feels that whether she or he had a very bad experience as far as the interaction was concerned, he or she feels that this time I'll be boring, nobody will like me, as the first interaction didn't go well, so this time also it will not go well. So in this sort of mentality we jump into the interaction, and for that reason it always collapses, or it doesn't go well the way we thought of. Then one bad social experience or one bad experience that you had, stop thinking about that. It is advisable to start fresh, start with a fresh mind, with a fresh jargon, with a fresh interaction. But it sounds difficult, but it will give you a very good result. So always start fresh, start with an open mind always. Now the next point is set a social goal. I have categorized into 3 parts: whom you want to interact, where you want to interact, and why do you want to interact. So to set the social goals, you have to level up the existing relationship. Select the first 3% you want to be level up for your social goals. Find different type of friends, find new friends, whether you are traveling, whether you are in restaurant, or whether you are visiting restaurant, whether you are going to gym regularly, or whether you are approaching different common areas. So you have to find whom do you want to interact, whether you want to interact with a doctor, whether you want to interact with a lawyer, whether you want to interact with a cricketer, whether you want to interact with a footballer, whether you want to interact with a musician. So with whom you really want to interact, and where do you want to interact. The place very matters. Whether you want to interact in the pub, whether you want to interact in a playground, whether you want to interact in a classroom, whether you want to interact in some common areas, that matters. And why do you want to interact? Why do you want to make friendship? So because you are feeling lonely, because of that only you want to interact with that particular person, or you want to make friendship with that particular person, or whether you really want to make friendship because of you really want to get the happiness, or whether you really want the enjoyment, because of that only you want the friendship to be done. What exactly, why do you want to be sociable? Why do you want to make friendship? That is a question. And if you really know what is your answer, then definitely you can interact with anybody. Always you try to impress the person with whom you are interacting, and the first impression should be a lasting impression and a blasting impression. So just to encash your first impression to be the blasting one, always it's advisable to talk to the low pressure group. Build the confidence. So how to do that? So always try to interact with the delivery agent or the low pressure group, always, whether it's a delivery agent, whether it's a support agent, whether it's a barber or the hairdresser. So these people will help you to build the confidence. And now the next most important point is use great openers. So everybody is nowadays very desperate to be social, whether they are into the business or whether they are into the job. It is advisable to start on a high note and what is good you have to project. So don't use negative jargons or negative statement when you interact, when you start with. Just like people oftenly does this one, whether the weather is terrible today, the weather is very hot today, or I am very much tired today. So in that case you cannot think that these are the words or these are the jargons that are going to help you a lot. So in place of that you can use some very appealing jargons which show some positivity, like something be friendly, like wow, what a cool venue, it looks nice on you, and it's good to see you. These are some positive jargons, positive words or statements which creates a vibe in the minds of other people. So in that way you have to be approachable, in that way you have to approach. So these are considered as some great openers. Now the next point is use similar attraction effect. You know that when we talk about the magnet, the same pole, this is just like north pole repels, and north pole, south pole attracts. So that happens in the magnetic field, or when we talk about the magnet. But when we talk about the personality, then, or when we talk about the person or the stuffs, similar type of person attracts each other. If you are an introvert type of person, so always you will look for the introvert type of person. If you are extrovert type of person, always you will look, always you are in search of extrovert type of person, because similarity always attracts. Similar stuff also, if you are using some particular brand and some other fellow is using the similar brand, then you can get connected. You get connected, or you will have a point to discuss. So these similar attraction effect is one of the tool to be sociable. Now the next crucial point is vulnerable colored lenses. When we talk about the vulnerability, that means some of the pain areas or some of the things that we don't generally try to highlight or try to disclose. That means sharing things we normally hide or ashamed of, that is called as the vulnerability. These are the something which you really hide, and if you find a person who really understand it, if you feel that that person can be your partner, you can share with that particular fellow vulnerable colored lenses, so that you can get connected with that particular fellow. And the last point is, the seventh point is harness the curiosity. That means ask something interesting, thought-provoking questions. Don't never ever ask boring questions, just like how do you do, how are you. These are something scripted questions. So these boring questions always make the environment very boring. So in case of that, always it is advisable ask some thoughtful questions, like some deeper questions, some exciting questions, like did you learn anything interesting today, or what, or else I can say that what is your personal passion, or these are the something which really push that particular person to open up. These are something the thoughtful questions that we can say. If you really want to be sociable, then you have to be in a position to ask question, and your questions should be the thought-provoking questions, or really interesting questions. So always we say that to be interested in others, you have to be very much interesting in your words. So that is what. So these are the 7 ways where you can make yourself more sociable.